a little musical interlude, one of my favorites, Tears for Fears, and on the other side, we'll be back to pick it up from there. Stay tuned.
wrong in the Palmetto State. If we see it, we say it. We call it like it is in South Carolina. And now, it's the Palmetto Conservative Show. Let's jam.
Welcome back into the Palmetto Conservative Show. I'm your host, Jim Lee. I apologize for the continued technical difficulties we experienced. Hopefully you only missed a portion of the musical interlude there, and that we're back. Welcome into Hour 2 here on the Palmetto Conservative Show. You know, in the top of the show, I mentioned that one of my favorite quotes comes to us from Plato, and reminds us that we need to be involved, and that one of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. There's another quote that I'd like to add to the repertoire here at the Palmetto Conservative Show from none other than H.L. Mencken. This is attributed to him. The most dangerous man to any government is the man who is able to think out things for himself. Almost inevitably, he comes to the conclusion that the government he lives under is dishonest, insane, and intolerable. I like it. I think it says much. And that is where we find ourselves tonight here on the Palmetto Conservative Show. And as we think about it, let's consider the fact that, in this day and age, we have so much technology. And we're going to box this hour in with technology, go in with technology, and come out with technology. I found this article from the London Mail online to be quite interesting. The title is, "The Internet is Leaving Children Brain Dead. An inventor warns, quote-unquote, the Google generation who spend life in front of screens are losing creativity and skills." One of Britain's leading innovators has warned that a Google generation who rely on the Internet for everything are in danger of becoming brain dead. Trevor Bayliss, who invented the wind-up radio, said children are losing creativity and practical skills because they spend too much time in front of screens. The 75-year-old said he fears that the next generation of inventors is being lost, with young people often unable to make anything with their hands. But he said children could rediscover vital skills if schools used Meccano and other practical toys. Mr. Bayliss said, children have got to be taught hands-on and not to become mobile phone or computer dependent. They should use computers as and when, but there are so many people playing with their computers nowadays that they spend all their time sitting there with a stomach. They are dependent on Google searches. A lot of kids will become fairly brain dead if they become so dependent on the Internet because they will not be able to do things the old-fashioned way. Recalling how his career had its roots in the very different world in which he grew up, he said he was about 5 or 6 years old when he began to invent devices. During the war, when I was not at school, I used to go out and collect the rubbish, says Mr. Bayliss. One day I was out and went to this house around the corner from where I grew up in Southall, Middlesex, and this lady said, "I've got a box of stuff for you, Trev. You'd better get a wheelbarrow." So I picked up this thing, and on the way back I was intrigued and I looked inside, and it turned out to be a huge Meccano set. If I wanted to make a 5-wheeled motor car, then I could, or a forklift truck. And that's really what it's all about, because that stays with you all your life. The inventor, who was awarded the OBE in 1997, believes that simple challenges in schools using tools such as Meccano model kits would give children invaluable skills. He said with Meccano, you could do your own reproduction, say, of the Sydney Harbor Bridge. If you brought Meccano back into primary and secondary schools, then you'd have Class 1 against Class 2. You've got 4 hours to make the Sydney Harbor Bridge, and we'll see which one is the strongest. Many of Bayless's inventions have been gadgets to help the disabled. He recalled how much of his motivation came from an accident when he was working as a circus stuntman. He said, I did an underwater escape act in a Berlin circus in 1970. When I was in the circus, I had a very passionate affair with an aerial ballet star, a lovely girl from We apologize for what is once again a connectivity problem. Mr. Bayless said, I suddenly realized disability is only a banana peel away. Mr. Bayless still has a workshop where he works on his inventions at his home in Twickenham, southwest London. He is currently lobbying the government to do more to protect the intellectual property of inventors. But the larger point, which is not the fact that he had a very passionate affair with an aerial ballet star, but rather the point that we have become a society, and in particular a society that leaves its children too much in the passive act of watching the various screens on their iPads and iPods and iPhones and Androids and computer screens and game machines, and too little time in active cognitive development using one's hands and imagination. Does the internet really make you smarter? Or, in fact, does it make you dumber? I can tell you firsthand, in my experiences as an adjunct instructor at a local college, it is evident to me that while schools are turning out barely functionally literate graduates, many of them lack the critical thinking and practical skills necessary to survive. And we see more and more in my professional pursuits college graduates who have clearly gone through the rote and have learned certain things, but again lack the analytical and creative skills in order to actually think and create for themselves. Now, there are some that are artistically creative, some that are analytically creative, but create they must. We have to ask ourselves, is this a direction we really need to go? We'll explore that notion on the other side here. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I always loved watching the kids play basketball. I still do, even though things have changed. It's funny, they can't find jobs to get their careers started, and I can't afford to retire. And now we're all living together again. I supported President Obama because he spoke so beautifully. He promised change, but things changed for the worse. Obama started spending like our credit cards have no limit.